Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is our Tech Guy podcast. This show originally broadcast on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, June 9th, 2012. This is Tech Guy episode number 881. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by ShareFile.com. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile from Citrix. Try ShareFile today for a 30-day free trial plus double storage. Visit ShareFile.com. Click the radio microphone and use the offer code TechGuy. And by Gazelle, the easy way to sell your iPhone, iPad, iPod, or Android smartphones from your home or office so you can get the latest versions. Get a risk-free quote that's good for 30 days at Gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about tech. Computers and the internet, camcorders and cell phones, home theater, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. 888-827-55. Now I'm hurt. 827-5536. The Seeker in our chat room said, this music sounds like the intro to second-rate golf tournament coverage. Now that's all I'm going to hear every time we play. I commissioned this at great expense from the great composer Ashley Witt, the Tech Guy theme. And you say, well, you're not, actually kind of has that, has that feeling to it. It's just theme music. I've talked about this a few weeks ago, and actually I thought I would get some hate mail from it, and I didn't. About Steve Jobs' Achilles heel. Steve Jobs is, well, for want of a better word, tin ear. You know, the design of the Mac, the design of the iPhone is spectacular. The physical design, the software, gorgeous. And Jobs is famous for his aesthetic, for his, you know, there's the great story when Steve Jobs passed away that I think it was Larry Page told about getting a call. He said during Sunday services, and he didn't pick it up because he thought, was it Larry Page? No, it was Vic Gundotra, who was at Google at the time, in charge of Google's iOS apps. And Vic said, I was at Sunday services, so I didn't pick it up. And after the service, I looked at the phone. I saw it was Steve Jobs called me. And I went, oh, my goodness. And he called him right back and said, I'm so sorry, Mr. Jobs. I didn't call you. I didn't pick up the phone, but I was at services. And Jobs says, well, if you're at Sunday services, the only call you should be answering is that of God. So it's okay. But, Vic, I know it's a Sunday, but I got a problem. Gundotra was going, oh, my goodness. The gradient of the yellow in the O of Google on your iOS app is a little off. So I've taken the liberty of assigning a designer to fix it. The gradient of the yellow. This is how. I mean, there's so many wonderful lessons in here about Apple, about Steve Jobs' personality, about how detail-oriented it was. Some might say how much of a micromanager the gradient of the yellow, that's the color shift of the yellow in the O wasn't quite right. Now, this is Google's logo, and it's on the iPhone, and because it's on the iPhone, Steve Jobs says, but we're fixing it for you. We'll take care of this. And, of course, so he's legendary as having this incredible eye. And yet the audio, in particular, the alert sounds on the Mac from day one have been so god-awful. And it just shows you. So maybe I'm okay at tech, but, you know, if the theme song's a little cheesy, what can I say? Nobody's perfect in every dimension. We do expect to see, speaking of Steve Jobs and Apple Computer, a very big day on Monday for Apple. Their Worldwide Developers Conference, hereinafter referred to as WWDC, is coming up on Monday. This is where, once a year, Apple gets together with thousands of its developers. Some may say it's adherents, its devotees, to talk about what will be new on the desktop with OS 10. And in fact, we know there's a new OS 10 coming soon, probably soon. I imagine that Monday they'll announce a date. Could be next month. They said the summer, which could be anything through September 21st, right? So, but sometime this summer. And it could also be tomorrow, so we don't know. We'll see OS 10 Mountain Lion. We'll also see a new iOS 6, and that we know for sure they will talk about at the developers conference on Monday. But here's the interesting thing. This is, the last Worldwide Developers Conference was Steve Jobs' last speech, last keynote at Apple. This year, it's Tim Cook's show, the new CEO, and I think, and I've gone on record as saying, it's going to be the summer of Tim. Tim is going to put his stamp on Apple Computer, and he's going to do it on Monday at the Worldwide Developers Conference. And the rumors we're hearing, if true, would make it the largest product announcement Apple has ever made. It seems to be the case, and there's a lot of evidence starting to support this, that we will see not only iOS 6 for the first time, and probably get a release date for Mountain Lion, 2 new operating systems. But we also expect to see, for the first time in a couple of years, new Mac Pros, new iMacs, new MacBooks, both Air and Pros, a ton of hardware. We expect to see a new Apple Map application to replace Google Maps on the iPhone and the iPad. I don't think we'll see a new iPhone or iPad, I'm sure of that, but we might hear more about the new iPhone. I think that'll be coming out in September. But you never know. They do one a year. It could be. They used to do it in June, the new iPhone. And then, remember, last year they put it off till September, and that's why I think September. But, hey, you never know. We'll see. I expect the move. This one's a little bit more speculative, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the move of Siri to the iPad. iPad has dictation, but it doesn't have the full Siri. Well, I expect to see more features in Siri. And the biggest thing, and this is new stuff from the Boy Genius, that the Boy Genius report is reporting that we will see a television software developer kit. A trusted source told Boy Genius Report today that Apple plans to reveal a TV SDK, allowing third-party developers to put software apps on the Apple TV. Now, is that Apple TV, and this is some of the confusion, the little hockey puck Apple TV Apple already sells and is still just a hobby, or will it be on a giant actual Apple television set? We don't know. John Gruber, who follows this and usually seems to have an inside track, he knows somebody. He says it's going to be apps for the Apple TV, but that's huge. Because that's not just, we're going to have Angry Birds on the Apple TV. That means we'll have perhaps HBO Go and NBA basketball. Well, we already do have NBA and Major League Baseball, don't we? That we will see networks start to do apps with their shows for the Apple TV. This could be huge. Really huge. And Apple does need to respond, because this was also the week that Microsoft made some big announcements for its Xbox, making the Xbox 360 more than just a game machine, a true multimedia device for the living room. You can watch HBO on it now with HBO Go, if your cable company lets you. That's an interesting story on the side. We'll talk about that too. The battle for your living room is going to really heat up. It's really going to heat up. And I think this is going to be the biggest keynote from Apple ever in terms of announcements. We'll find out 10 o'clock Pacific time on Monday when Tim Cook strides on stage and finally tries to take the reins from Steve Jobs and say, okay, this is it. This is my company now, and here's what we're going to do. And don't forget, he still has that great design team with Johnny Ive. He still has the software developers. He's still got a great team behind him, the same team that Steve Jobs put on the field. And I expect to see some great things. So it's exciting. This is going to be an exciting June. Usually, summertime is not a great time for news, but in tech, it's sometimes huge. I also hold in my hand, and I will talk a little bit about it, the latest Android phone. And I tell you, there is pressure on Apple. There is pressure on Apple. You've got the PC manufacturers making incredible thin, ultralight computers. You've got Samsung Galaxy S3, which in every respect beats the iPhone. You've got the Xbox 360 in the living room. These are exciting times. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. La 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 la. It is the hottest topic in business today, and I have to say, it is what I recommend. Moving your business the headroom's a little low. We did with Google Apps, and I'll tell you, you get everything. You get not just email, you get collaboration tools like instant messaging, calendaring, video chat. All right. You get, of course, word processing.
Let's do it on the radio show.
All of it with corporate branding.
Let's get a million votes right now.
Right there,
10th place.
The most reliable.
All you need is 300 more votes to get into first place.
What about
let's see if we can do that right now.
Down to Verticore.
We're going to do that right now.
Premier partner, one of the best in the
everybody
country.
in the chat room who's listening right now. Everybody's watching live.
We could do it without even going on the radio right now. So, Roger Waters does this amazing, he's formerly of Pink Floyd. He has had a great solo career. He's the guy who wrote The Wall for Pink Floyd and has been touring with the latest version of The Wall. John Jammer B. Slanina, our studio manager, has taken us to see The Wall twice now. Just saw it in Oakland a few weeks ago. And there is a contest. When you go see this concert, you can bring your smartphone, you can bring a small camera, but you can't bring a big camera unless you're accredited press. And there's a contest to accredit a fan. And if you go to bit.ly/JOHN4RW. I'm sorry, vote for. I messed up. VOTE. I'm going to give you a better. This is a terrible short URL. This is a long short URL. VOTE JOHN, the number 4, capital RW. It's a Talent House is the website it's going to take you to. And you can cast your vote for John. Now, he currently has 216 votes. He's in 10th place. I am chagrined. I am embarrassed that after begging you before, we only got a few votes. We just broke Talent House. There's no response. We just broke Talent House, so I have a feeling a few of you went there. Vote for John. If he gets 300 votes, he'll be in first place. Actually, yeah, here we go. Photograph Roger Waters at the Wall live. And John is a really good photographer, and I have already promised to lend him my top-of-the-line camera and any lens he chooses or series of lenses he chooses. In fact, I'll give you 2 bodies, John, 2 lenses and anything extra you need. And all you have to do is vote either on Twitter or on Facebook. Either one counts, right? Okay. So Craig has already voted. Kevin has already voted. Kayla has already voted. Taylor has already voted. Kennedy and Alan have already voted. Let's get John into number 1. I already voted, but I'm going to do it again. Can I do it more than once? Connect with Facebook. Log in. I'm not going to save the device. All right, you do have to log into your Facebook or Twitter account. And then, oops. I'm telling you, I think we've broken Talent House. Let me try it with Twitter. I swear to God, I think we broke Talent House. Yeah, Twitter's not even responding. Yeah, Bill, sorry. If you're not on Twitter or Facebook, you cannot apparently vote. I think this is great. Let's get John in first place. What's in it for you? Web 5338, the good knowledge of knowing you have made a man very, very happy. The man who makes TWiT happen. Not me, John. moving up. Now in 7th place. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What was that?
Golf swing.
Golf swing. Now this is actual golf music. See the difference? I think mine's better. Kyle Benham, our musical director. How's the job? Let's do personal plugs. Let's completely waste people's times here. How is the job hunt going, Kyle Benham?
It's going really well.
What webpage should people go to? Kyle, my musical director, works weekends only and he cannot continue in this crazy way, in this crazy fashion, to merely work 16 hours a week. He must have a good job. And so in order to get Kyle gainfully employed, he has created a website. Ad Kyle?
You got it. Adkyle.com.
ADKYLE.com. Because it's an ad for Kyle. Get it? Ad Kyle. Ad Kyle, ADKYLE.com. You'll see him. He's a good-looking fella. A highly experienced, interactive, and creative strategist. That's what he says. That's what he says. And, of course, he does the show. He's our musical director. Why won't Premiere hire him full-time? I don't know. Don't ask that. Maybe he doesn't want to work there full-time. You ever think of that? Maybe he wants variety in his life. Maybe that's all it is. All right, another personal plug. I apologize, and we'll get right to the phones. My studio manager, John Bacon Slanina. Jammer B, we call him. This guy is so cool. He's so great. He works hard. He's here on his day off. He works all the time, and he's just fantastic. And he is a very simple man. He has only one real interest in life. Well, two. One is a band called Humphreys McGee. The other is a performer named Roger Waters. You know that name. He was, of course, the one of the guys behind Pink Floyd. He wrote The Wall, one of Pink Floyd's greatest albums, and has been touring. In fact, I've seen it now twice, thanks to John, touring with The Wall. It's an amazing show. But, you know, when you go to see John has taken great pictures already of this show because, he's a fan. And how many times has he seen it? Several dozen, I think. And so he's got a great photo album of stuff. But you're not allowed, it's with a point and shoot because you're not allowed to bring in the big cameras, the DSLRs, unless you have a permit. So there's a contest going on at a site called Talent House. They're going to give one big fan a chance to, a press pass to come in and shoot it. Photograph Roger Waters at the Wall Live. And John is a great photographer already. He's got great pictures. And I think, I want to give him a setup of great cameras. There we are in the back of the book at the Wall. I want to give him a setup with great cameras and, get him in there. But we need your help because it's a vote, right? It's a popularity contest. It's not based on pure skill. It's based on popularity, which is a good thing for John. So here's what I want you to do. We made a special, somewhat short URL. Here it is. We'll put it in the show notes. bit.ly. You know what? It's going to bring the site down like crazy if you all go anyway. So you could do this from the show notes. So, James, if you'd put this in the notes here at techguylabs.com. bit.ly/vote John, VOTEJOHN, the number 4, capital RW for Roger Waters, right? John 4RW. And you'll get to the Talent House site where you can cast a vote via either Facebook or Twitter for John. And we'd love, he's in 7th place right now. We'd love to get him in first place. And all it would take a few hundred votes would put him in first place. It's just that easy. bit.ly/VOTEJOHN and the number 4, capital R, capital W. All right, now I've done my plugging. Now it's your turn. Our phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you want to talk high tech with me, I'd love it if you'd call that number, 888-827-5536. And as I mentioned, we do have a website, techguylabs.com, and everything we talk about on the show is there at techguylabs.com. Our first call of the day, John in New York City. John, this is not good. What? I just looked at your. Tell me what's going on.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. Well, here's what happened. There was a massive thunderstorm rolled through the area, and I, being addicted to the internet at college level, left the computer plugged in, and a particularly nasty lightning bolt struck the area around the house.
Oh, no.
And I saw smoke come out of the court.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, dear. In general, visible smoke coming out of a computer is not a good sign.
No, it's not. And however, I immediately pulled it out, and amazingly, the computer still works.
Yeah. What?
However,
Something doesn't. Something mustn't work.
Well, yeah, I know. It's figuring out what's not working is kind of the issue. The best way to describe the sound that's coming out of the speakers is when a computer freezes, it makes that horrendous sound out of the speakers, and usually doesn't go away until you. It's like
Is it a kind of a?
Yeah, it's like high pitched and staticky.
Oh, it's screaming.
Yeah,
it's actually screaming in pain.
Yeah.
Now, but when you say you can turn it on, you see the screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It boots up. It works fine. Nothing.
It's just making a nasty noise.
Yeah, and it's intermittent. It's not all the time. I'd say it happens about once every 5 minutes.
You are about the luckiest guy ever.
I use it as my backup computer now. I just went out and bought a new computer.
Yeah, that's a good excuse. God told you, get a new computer. I'm going to fry this one. So, all right. So any connection, by the way, this could be a modem wire, could be an Ethernet cable, it could be a power cable. Any connection into the wall is potentially a problem if lightning hits your building. Because, of course, the lightning just follows whatever electrical path there are. I have a good friend, Gina Smith, a tech writer, who I was actually on the phone with her, and I heard a big bang. And she said, oh, wow, thunder just hit the building. Her washing machine, all her appliances were blown. So this is a laptop?
Yes.
So it's kind of tough because, for a desktop, you could open it up and you could look for flame, marks of flame. But a laptop, you can't really see inside. And of course, the damage is going to be selective. It could be that it fried just the sound chip, and that's what you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go into the BIOS setup and disable the sound chip? If you could, I'd try that. Then you might not hear that noise anymore, and you could see if everything else works. It is selective. In other words, it could just go in and if enough voltage hit the it's enough wattage, really. It's amps times volt, but because if sufficient amps with sufficient volts hit that motherboard, it could have gone down every channel and melted the thing. I mean, you literally could have a lump of slag. It could be that it hit just the sound card. It could be it just hit the speakers and melted them. So the sound is not enough to diagnose it. I'm thrilled that you can boot it. Try disabling things in BIOS. Lightning like Steve Jobs, says Pencil Art. Lightning like Steve Jobs plays by no rules. Okay, we got a new short URL thanks to Louis J. bit.ly/John Bacon. All lowercase. John Bacon. And now and the votes are going up. Lou, you're going to be on the show with Robert and Mary Jo. That's awesome. Awesome. That's going to be one of our in August, you said? That's great. That's great. They're starting obviously they're starting to book up the show. The current is directly proportional to the voltage and inversely proportional to the resistance in the electrical circuit. Yeah, so that's why you can be hit by a 1,000,000 volt. The static shock that hurts but doesn't kill is a very, very, very high voltage, like 1,000,000 volts, but no amps. Very low amperage, so it has no killing potential. I don't know if you got. Is it possible to get high amps and very low volts? I don't know what that would even be. A car battery. Sure, that's right. It's got a lot of amps. Yep. That could kill you. It hurt a lot more than a static shock. So a Tesla coil, for instance, is very, very high voltage, and the amperage is sufficient to hurt you badly. Did you? How fun. You got to be careful. It's funny. Somebody was playing with a Tesla coil, and I started shooting it with the iPhone and, making a video. And he said, "Get back!" Because it will jump to the phone and kill you after the phone. So a solid connection to a single amp charge will kill you if it goes to the heart. Well, that's right. That's right. Dr. Mom, you didn't. Dr. Mom, you didn't do it, did you? Dr. Mom says, we've been known to zap people with car batteries in the old days before portable defibrillators were around. One clip on each nipple and clear. Yeah, 50 gigs. Mine came with it. It seemed to be, because this is an unlocked, uncarriered, and it had 50 gigs free of Dropbox for 2 years. Thank you, Dr. Decibel. It only takes 10 microamps through the heart to kill you. Well, and one of the things we always said is you got to be careful with static charges around electrical gear, around chips, because even though it's very low amperage, the high voltage can actually fry chips. So chips are very sensitive, very sensitive. My brother got blown halfway across the kitchen, says Keith512, when pulling a toaster plug with a knife when the power was on. Oh, that's not good. That's why you don't put a knife in the toaster. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I got to get to Scott. Hold on a sec. Me and my big mouth completely forgot the Scott. Let's connect to Skype WUD. Video call to Scott Wilkinson. And we'll put Scott up in the monitor here. Hold up. Hey, Scott. Uh-oh.
I don't have video yet.
Oh, you will.
Maybe, do I?
Give it a time.
Give it a moment.
Give it a moment. Everything takes time. Even though it's going at the speed of light.
Indeed.
It still takes time. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, got a bunch of stuff. I do want to mention that my podcast is on Tuesday this week instead of Monday because of the WWDC.
Oh, yeah. We pushed you. That's right. All right. Hold on a sec.
Yep.
Hey, Leo, you have a DSL Extreme billboard here.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, are the phones working okay today?
Yeah. Why?
Awesome. Well, I know that Bill had worked on it.
With the echo, I don't know yet because I haven't taken a call. I guess I took one call. I didn't hear any echo. I think that's a good solution. Duck it. Well, that's what a hybrid's supposed to do is, yeah.
All right, Leo.
Go to the wall. Roger Waters. This is such a good show if you get a chance to see it. They build the wall during the concert. By the intermission of the concert, the musicians are playing behind a wall. And then they knock it down. It's just dramatic as heck. And it's really a story. And I thanks to all of you who have already cast your votes for my buddy Jammer B, John Slanina, to go there and photograph the wall. That would be so cool for him to do. This is his life dream. And make this boy happy. You can go to BIT. We've got a new short URL, bit.ly/John Bacon, all one word, all lowercase. John, because Slanina means bacon. And he's got 423 votes. That's good. We're on our way. We're going to win this thing. Hey, let's say hello to Scott Wilkinson. He's here, too. He is is there anything I can do for you to make your day? Scott Wilkinson. He's our home theater guru. And he does the show every week talking about home theater. He's at hometheater.com. He's their online editor there. And also hosts a wonderful podcast, Home Theater Geeks, normally Mondays, but and soon, by the way, we're going to move it to 1 p.m., I think.
I'm happy to do that.
Starting
absolutely.
in July. We just want everything to begin on the hour. So
I think that's great.
Yeah,
that's
1:30 right now Pacific on Mondays 4:30 Eastern. Although this Monday, because Apple's doing something, I don't know.
Something. Some little thing.
Something. We're going to move John to Tuesday of this week, 1:30 Pacific. Is it 1:30?
No, 11 a.m.
11 a.m. You're going to take the Mac Break Weekly slot. Okay, that's good actually.
Because you're taking my slot.
Yeah, we're flip-flopping. So that's a great show. Who's going to be on Home Theater Geeks Tuesday?
My guest will be Michael Fremer, definitely an audiophile curmudgeon of grand repute, who has just started a new website called Analog Planet about all things, obviously, analog.
Cool.
So vinyl records, tube amps, all that kind of stuff. And he and I are going to be talking about what he's doing new on the site with vinyl and tubes, and we'll probably get into some discussion about measurement of audio, because there's a great deal of debate lately on my website, among other places, about how important objective measurements are compared with subjective impressions.
Interesting.
So that's actually a very interesting debate. I've had some people on to talk about it from both sides of the coin, and that will continue probably on Tuesday.
So, we were talking earlier, I was talking earlier about Apple, and we expect on Monday some TV announcements. I'm sure you'll also talk about those if there are any.
I'm really hoping that they talk about, they've been talking a long time. There's a rumor anyway that's been out there a long time about whether or not Apple is going to have a television. And this is how I distinguish between the little hockey puck streaming box, which is called Apple TV, with the what we hope will be a television, a flat panel, called what I'm currently calling the Apple Television.
Yeah, that makes
the
sense.
Apple flat panel.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's very confusing.
I show my age because I call it a television set. I think people under 50 probably don't call it a television set. No.
Well, sometimes in reviews you have to come up with different terms for things so that you don't repeat yourself over and over. So I sometimes use the word set.
Well, we call them set-top boxes. That's what the Apple TV is. So
that's exactly right.
So as distinct from the Apple set-top box, Apple TV, we have an Apple television set.
We hope so.
I personally am on record as saying that Apple should not and will not do that, even though all the rumors say they will. I think it's likely, though, that Apple TV, the little set-top box, will become more powerful. And I love the idea of putting apps on there because, it's apps like HBO Go on the Xbox 360 that are going to give the Apple TV a run for its money. If you can watch Game of Thrones that way. Now, people might say, oh, now you can be a cord cutter. You can get rid of your cable. But no, you can't. And this is where the cable companies kind of have HBO a little bit. There was a petition movement that's still going on saying to HBO, hey, why? Because right now with HBO Go, you can download the app on your iPhone, your Android phone, your tablet. But you then have to sign into your cable company account. And
you can't use it without having it on your cable box.
Actually have to pay for HBO on cable to be able to use HBO Go. And so people are saying, well, look, why can't we just buy HBO Go? We'll pay you, $15 a month or something or more. And so we can cut the cable cost. And it makes sense because cable companies make you buy a package that ends up costing, I pay probably $100 to get HBO, Showtime, and the channels on my cable. And that's crazy. If you just want to watch Game of Thrones or whatever it is, it's crazy.
I've been very, very strongly advocating a la carte pricing for a long time. But just buy the ones you want. But the cable companies don't want that.
And that's the problem is that they're called MSOs. That's the technical term for the people who, Comcast,
your cable
Time
provider.
Warner, your cable. They're called multiple system operators or MSOs. Those folks have contracts, pieces of paper with HBO, and they say, we'll pay you so much per subscriber HBO, and we'll carry you on our various cable affiliates, but you may not, and among the may nots, and I know this because I worked for a cable channel, you may not stream your content to our subscribers because that undermines their business model.
Right.
We want the money, and so HBO probably does want to take this app and sell it directly to customers. Why should they give a percentage to Comcast when they can go direct to you? But Comcast won't let them. And what the fear would be is if they did that Dish, DirecTV, Comcast, Roadrunner, Time Warner rather, and would just say, okay, fine, we don't need HBO. Now that's going to be that's what will happen eventually, because that'll be an interesting battle, because then there are all the cable subscribers who say, what? No HBO?
Right. And at the moment,
no
cable
Comcast.
cable subscribers are what are the main breadwinners, and so HBO and all those other broadcasters don't want to piss off the cable companies because that's where most of their money's coming from.
So what the real problem, and this is the problem in the digital world in general, is it's hard to create a new business model when you're still hanging on to the old business model.
Exactly. And the same thing's happening in publishing.
And records and everything. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. We're in a transition period right now. And all change is hard, and yet it is also inevitable.
But remember what company changed the music industry for good? It was Apple. Yep. It was Steve Jobs going around and talking to the music industry and saying, look, you guys are going to get eaten alive by piracy if you don't let people buy the songs online. They resisted it. They resisted it. They finally went. And iTunes has been a great success for the music industry. In fact, it's probably saved the record industry. And I expect that a company like Apple, with its clout, could go to these various providers and say, look, this is how it's going to be, you know. And so we'll watch carefully. I'll be very interested to see. But an Apple TV with apps on it could, in fact, be your new cable company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And by Apple TV, you mean the little set-top box.
I mean the set-top box. I don't think they need to make a television. They might make a television.
I tend to agree with you. I mean, the rumor I heard was that the Apple television flat panel would be an OLED, one of these new OLEDs from LG probably, which was just introduced at the Cannes Film Festival in Monaco last month.
Did they announce a ship date?
Yeah, fourth quarter. Before that, I had heard that they were trying to ship it for the Olympics, which are next month.
That's a good idea.
But it ain't going to happen, apparently.
Yeah.
It's going to be fourth quarter, which could be December 31st. Yeah. Although I imagine they are hoping to get it into stores for, the holiday shopping season. But in any event, an Apple TV, an Apple television would be great, but very expensive.
Hang on, Scott. Let's talk a little bit more. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru from hometheater.com, is here. More to come right after this. I think they could do 99.9% of what they want to do with just an upgraded Apple TV. And so that's why I kind of buy that rumor that they might put apps. I've been saying that for two or 3 years. That all we need on an Apple TV is apps.
What are the two most?
If I could put, XBMC or Boxy or Plex on my Apple TV, as you can with some other boxes. So I want Plex on there. I want HBO Go without a cable contract. All that, Showtime could do that. In fact,
AMC.
So could ABC, CBS, and NBC. And that's why the cable companies are fighting tooth and nail, right?
Yeah,
because they understand that you could kill your cable subscription. The only thing you have cable for now is live, and everything else could be on your Apple TV.
Right. Well, you also have cable for internet access in many cases, and phone for that matter.
Right. Well, and I think that the smart cable companies are starting to realize that, and they're saying, you know what, we're going to be a data provider.
Right.
They got to kind of get out of the idea that they're providing premium television services and get into the idea that they're providing a big fat pipe into the house.
Right.
And make that work for them.
Right.
I remember talking to Cablevision, but this is many years ago, and I've told this story many times. This is more than 10 years ago, where they said that business model doesn't work for us. We can't do it. We can't survive. But I think that's changed. I think that's changed.
It is going to be an interesting time.
Yep.
Web 633 says you can put Boxy on an Apple TV
if you hack it. You have to hack it. You have to jailbreak it.
You have to hack it. Okay. See, I'm surprised. I mean, Boxy does have an app, but I would have expected them to keep it exclusive to their hardware.
No. That's not their hardware. It's D-Link's. D-Link lists.
Well, D-Link's, yeah.
So they're not owned by D-Link. So, yeah, if you go to firecore.com, this is actually a good company. I've used this before. They make a... you could do this. Basically, it's a roll-up of a lot of open source stuff, but it's a very simple, easy roll-up. It's only $30. And this hacks your Apple TV. Now, I did this on the old hard drive-based Apple TV. I haven't tried this on the Hockey Puck, although I have a lifetime subscription. I should probably do it. But that's when, if you do that, then you could put Plex on there and other stuff.
Sure. That's true. Boxy used to be a software only.
No, second gen. Second gen. You need jailbroken second gen Apple TV.
The 1080p one?
Yeah. Oh, that actually we're at the third gen.
Right. The 1080p is the third gen.
Okay. Oh, by the way, your friend is here, and he says he made it. Frazier, that's right. Frazier's here. So he says he gave you the Apple TV to hack. So there you go. So you can hack it.
He did.
Yeah.
That's right. And hey, Frazier, how you doing?
Okay. He says he's fine. So let me log in. I guess I could I guess I should, as a good tech reporter. I should probably. I hate to, the Apple TV when the hard drive version when I hacked it, the silver version, just never worked right again. It was just because it really had no processing power. I think the new Apple TV has enough juice that it probably. On the other hand, I might want to wait until after Apple's announcements. Because if they announce apps on Monday and I've hacked my Apple TV, I'm going to be sad. So,
yeah.
By the way, I probably should have two.
According to David Bix in the chat room, they've stopped developing the Boxy app. All new versions will only be for the Boxy box.
Right.
I believe Avner Ronan said that to me, too, when he was on my podcast.
That's right. Which is too bad.
Yeah, I agree. Although I've been enjoying using the Boxy box. It's pretty good. It's got a TWiT app. I can watch all the TWiT shows on it.
I think the TWiT app stopped working, didn't it? I think we had to call them.
Well, there's two TWiT
There's
apps.
a MediaFly app. The MediaFly stuff, MediaFly really not screwed us, but there we go.
Okay, Leo, your live reads Carbonite here.
Thank you, sir. Oh, best show on television. That's the Mad Men theme. See, if I can get Mad Men, if there were an AMC app and I could get Mad Men and The Killing, and there's some pretty good AMC shows, and then pay AMC, $5 a month for that? Get HBO, pay HBO. Hey, they could be premium, $15 for that.
Yeah.
And put that all on your Apple TV. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, is with us. He's at hometheater.com, does a podcast called Home Theater Geeks on our TWiT network, twit.tv/HATG. And we just been blue skying about what Apple might do on Monday with its Apple TV set-top box, maybe even Apple Television. But I know you have a question from a reader, so fire away.
Well, we've been talking about streaming, and a reader wrote in and asked, he said, well, if I get a movie from Netflix or something like that, I expect the picture to be pretty good, but will I get DTS HD Master Audio and Dolby True HD?
Come on. Knock it off.
And I said, no.
Yeah. Knock it off. I guess that's just they could do that, right?
Well, yeah, if you had enough bandwidth coming into your home.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I mean, these DTS HD and Dolby Digital True HD are in the, 4 megabits a second range. They are lossless audio codecs carrying 5.1 or in some cases 7.1 channels of audio at almost full bandwidth. The compression's only about 2-to-1. So that is actually more bandwidth than most like Netflix, most streaming movie providers send the video on. The video may be 2 or 3 megabits per second, and
so
the
that
audio
is an awful
even
lot of
more.
content. Yeah, okay. So that's one of the reasons you can't stream it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when he said when this guy asked on the email about well, the picture must be pretty good, I kind of said, well, yeah, sometimes it is, and I've been watching a lot of streaming lately. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. It's really pretty bad. It depends in part on the quality of the source file, the original file that they used to compress and then stream. But it also depends on the type of compression they're using and how much they're compressing it, how much bandwidth you have into your home. You need, for high-quality HD streaming, you need something like 4 to 6 megabits per second into your home, which more and more people are getting.
No, that's an awful lot. I know this because we offer a high-def or very nearly high-def stream of all of our shows, including this show, at live.twit.tv. But in order to see it, at 720p. You have to have 3 megabits.
3 megabits.
And by the way, everybody says, well, no, my cable company says we've got 10 or 20 megabits. But it has to be 3 megabits consistently.
Yes.
And I think that people have less, there's this boost that, for instance, Comcast calls it boost, but others offer, where it's really fast initially and then it slows down. And I think that people have less than they think. So 3 megabits is difficult. And I think a very small number of I should get some stats, but a very small number of our viewers can watch at that high quality. If you can, it looks awfully good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same for Netflix. And Netflix, by the way, does scale. So they watch what your bandwidth is, and they'll give you the best they can.
Right.
And that's why you may notice sometimes you'll see those dots when it's loading, and it'll say what kind of quality that they're going to send you. And that you may notice that it degrades sometimes.
Right.
Depending
We've
on
got
bandwidth.
David Bix in the chat room is saying that Netflix HD, the highest quality, is like 9 megabits per second.
Yeah.
And there aren't very many people who have that consistently and reliably coming into their home.
Now, if you had Fios or something like that, you might actually consistently have that. But that's the point, is that we are still, and especially in the U.S., where we're kind of middle of the, believe it or not, I know everybody believes we're number one in technology, but we're really middle of the pack in terms of internet speeds and reliability and cost. We are not by any means at the top of the heap.
That's right. I think South Korea stays pretty close to the top of the heap, and Singapore, I think, too. They have an average bandwidth into the home of like 20 megabits.
We did an experiment. It's kind of an interesting experiment. The FCC performed without your knowledge on all of us. Initially, there's the debate. Well, would a completely free and open market, would that be the best way to ensure high-speed internet access available to all, or would it be better to create duopolies or monopolies and let companies invest more heavily because they know they're going to get all of the market? And we opted for the duopoly system, where we said, well, there'll be 2 internet service providers in most areas, the cable company and the phone company, and that's it. And because it's so expensive to lay cable and put in all that copper, we're going to give them a monopoly. And I think that the results are in. The experiment is failed, and we did not, in fact, get very good internet out of that. Those companies acted like monopolies and gave us just enough, no more.
Right. As little as they could get away with.
As little as they could get away with. Free market would have been a better solution. Oh, well, we tried.
That's the way the cable companies have been for years.
Yeah.
You only had a monopoly of cable service in a particular area.
They still have a monopoly.
And they still do.
If you have Comcast, you don't have Time Warner. You have one or the other. And that's, now remember that another reason that companies like areas like South Korea and Scandinavia have very good internet is because they have government subsidies, that the government has done a lot of the infrastructure.
That's right. And Australia, I heard at the NAB ham party, is implementing 100 megabits per citizen per household by government mandate.
They have to. Australia is an example of the worst of both worlds, where the government was an investor in Telstra and other telcos, but not a full owner. So you have monopolies, government-run monopolies. That's the worst, by the way. And in fact, I think Australia has the smallest caps and the highest prices. I do hope they can turn that one around.
I do hope so.
But
too.
remember,
especially
also,
if they're giving 100 megabits to everybody.
Right. Australia has another disadvantage, which is the population is all on the edge of the island and not in the middle, and they have a very large area that they need to wire in. That's one of the issues as well. I mean, so geography is a big deal. Government intervention is a big deal. There's a lot of reasons why, and we're like Australia in that sense. We're a widely dispersed population over a very large landmass.
Yeah, that's true.
So
streaming still has a long way to go, but it's I do think it's the future, and we will stumble our way toward a streaming future.
And there'll always be room for the video file, just as there is for the audio file who has a turntable and a record collection today.
Exactly.
Those are special people with special ears. But I think there'll be Blu-ray for a long time to come, but the vast majority of people will be watching on streaming.
They're going to. I believe they're going to choose convenience over quality.
Exactly.
Because Blu-ray is clearly higher quality, no question about it.
Same thing happened in audio.
That's right.
Scott Wilkinson, hometheater.com. His poll. What is your poll this week?
My poll this week is: how much have you invested in your home theater? And because I want to know,
I don't want to know. I don't want to add it all up. I'd prefer to just be in complete ignorance on that.
Interestingly, so far, the over $100,000 category has beaten the $50,000 to $100,000 category.
Oh, that's just the people who read home theater, obviously. Holy cow. $100,000?
I know.
What the?
But it's more or less following a bell curve.
Yeah, I would guess so.
in the three, I think the $1,000 to $3,000 or $3,000 to $6,000 is the highest.
The best. There's a great article too, by the way, called "Dreaming the Not Impossible Dream," although impossible for me. Your guest, I think, on the show, Michael Fremer.
Wrote
a review of Macintoshes. Apparently, Macintosh, not the Apple, MCINTOS.
Right, the old, your father's hi-fi company.
They're still around. They still make high-end components.
They've been around for a long time.
And they've created what they call as an affordable system. But I think if you add it all up,
it's still not cheap.
It's not cheap. I think we're talking
10 or 20 grand, probably.
More than that. More like 30 grand. Yeah.
But you get the speakers.
And that's just audio, folks. That's not a TV. That's just audio.
That's true. But it's also a Blu-ray player.
Oh, thank you, Scott, for that. Glad I get something for my money. Anyway, great review. Fascinating. Their amplifier is 81 pounds. Just to give you an idea.
Right.
Your amplifier weighs more than a small dog. 81 pounds.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Scott Wilkinson.
My pleasure.
Scott Wilkinson, hometheater.com. Before we get back to the phones, we have many more calls. In fact, our next call, Peter in Brooklyn wants to know about this new 802.11 AC, and I'll give you a review because I've been playing with it. But before we do that, I want to talk about how you probably noticed that during the breaks they often run commercials that are my voice. I have to record those. I come in Friday to record those. I probably heard me tell the story of how I used another solution for a while, and it got to be a little bit of a battle because they kept deleting the stuff. So I finally said, I got to find a better way, and that's when I got a ShareFile account, and I am loving it. It's now how I get files of any size to clients and customers and colleagues. In fact, I have a massive file, a Photoshop file that was the design of this studio. And Padre SJ wants the floor plan of the studio, and I've been trying to figure out how can I. And then I realized, I can use ShareFile. Take a look at it, sharefile.com. It's for business. I use it on the Mac. You can use it on Windows. You can even use it on Linux. It is a way to share files. It looks kind of like email. In fact, they have an Outlook plugin that makes it look just like email, but it's not. It's secure. There's some nice features. For instance, I know when the file's been downloaded. I can remove access if I want. There's mobile access to my files on all of my, smartphones. In fact, if I'll take you to my share file, and I'll show you, it's custom branded, right? So I have the TWiT logo on there. I mean, it looks very professional, which is fantastic. And when I want to share files, so I sent Premiere some commercials. When I want to send them files, I can just say, this is nice. Let's say I want to send them this file. I click the send button, and I can either send an email using ShareFile, or I can get a private link that I can send to them that they don't even have to have a ShareFile account. They just click the link and the file's there. And look at some of the features. Email me when the file's been downloaded. Require recipients to enter name and email before downloading. You don't have to do that, but you can. You could say the download expires after a day. You could say how many downloads they can. You have total control, and it's fully encrypted, so it's completely secure, HIPAA compliant, all that stuff. In fact, they have share files for a variety of industries. And when you sign up, they'll ask you optionally to specify an industry that you're going to be using ShareFile with. It really is fantastic. Of course, it's from Citrix. That makes it good. So here's the deal. I will give you a free 30-day trial of ShareFile and double the storage. Pick the plan you want and then just multiply it times 2 if you use the offer code TechGuy. Sharefile.com, promo code TechGuy, and you'll be sharing files securely, easily, in seconds. No more bounce backs. It really is pretty amazing. Highly recommended. It's what I use now. ShareFile from Citrix, sharefile.com. Use the promo code LEO for 30 days free and double storage. You see there's different plans you can use. You get to choose whatever plan you want. Still get double storage. Sharefile.com. 30 days free right now. And we thank Citrix for making this show possible. I'll tell you, they're great. They support our podcast. They support our radio show. They do it all for us. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, home theater, digital photography, anything with a chip in it or anything that uses anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to talk. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. of A. Outside the U.S., well, you just call via Skype, and that'll get you to us. Same number, 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to Omaha, Nebraska. And Barry, our next caller. Hey, Barry, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, got a question for you.
Sure.
My employer gives me an iPhone. If I add a personal email account to that iPhone, can they see my email account?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, the law, you would think that you would have some privacy. It's an interesting conundrum. According to the law, regardless of the law, you just want to know if they technically can. Well, the law says they can. The law says they can. Sure. Just to bottom line that. From a technical point of view, they would, in order to see everything that's on your iPhone, they would need some software to monitor it. I don't believe such a thing exists. So they would have to ask for your cell phone, which they could do because they bought it. And they could look at it. But I don't think there's any way they can spy on it remotely. They can do that on your desktop, obviously.
Right.
If you use company Wi-Fi, they can. But if you are just using the 4G network or the 3G network and not company Wi-Fi, they cannot watch your traffic. And if you have something, let's say you did some emailing at home in the morning and you got into the office and you started using the Wi-Fi, I don't believe that would give them access to stuff you'd already received. It only gives them access to stuff that's going over the wire. So you're and the truth is, even if they're if you're using the company Wi-Fi, if your email provider, like let's say Google, if you use Gmail, uses HTTPS, then you're secure as well. It's encrypted. Now, there is a trick that businesses sometimes use, a man-in-the-middle attack, where they capture all of the stuff using a fake certificate. But you'd be able to tell they're doing that because you could look at their certificate on your desktop. If you have a company that's want to spy, if you look at the certificates, they will be the company's certificate. They'll be doing an intermediary. And they could do that on your phone, but you would know it. So the answer is sort of. Don't use their Wi-Fi. You should be all right. There is no. This is the deal. There's no Apple tool that allows them to spy on you.
And that would be like a native account that I added to the phone. How about if I just went through the browser to my email account?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. As long as you're using 3G, you're fine. If you use the company Wi-Fi, you're probably not. HTTPS would protect you in the sense that at least you'd know if they were spying on you, but in order to find out, you'd have to examine the certificate. Does that make sense?
All right. That does make sense. Thanks, Leo.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it. Yeah, just to complete the thought, courts have consistently ruled. It's really weird. It's not consistent. It's because digital technology is somehow viewed as different in the real world than normal technology. In the law, and I'm not a lawyer, but I am told by lawyers, in the law, if you are on a company phone, you're making a phone call, your employer is allowed to pick up the party line and listen in until the employer detects something personal going on. And as soon as he hears you say, "I love you too, honey," he has to hang up. He's not allowed to eavesdrop, even though you're using the company phone and the company phone line on company time. He's not allowed to eavesdrop on personal conversations. That's the law. But when it comes to digital conversations, they can look at anything. If you're using a company computer, they can look at anything. Now, I tell employers, and the courts have consistently upheld that. There's just no question. You have no right to privacy when it comes to digital technology. You do on the phone. Not on the computer. Now, I tell companies, and I certainly would hope you would do this, that if they plan to do this kind of thing, that they need to have they don't have to, they're not required to by law, but they should, by morally and ethically, have a very clear internet policy in which they say You are not to do this, that, and the other, and we are watching. If a company eavesdrop on you, I think they have a moral obligation to tell you that up front. But I have to be clear, they have no legal obligation to do so. The courts have time and time again upheld their right to spy on you without telling you. So certainly when you're using a company computer, even if you're using a laptop at home, because there are, of course, ways to spy on a laptop at home, you should presume the company can spy on you, or can, but whether they will or not, you have to decide. Maybe you know the owner, the boss, and you know he would never do that, or the IT guys, and they would never do that. If you're in a big company, I would assume they're spying on you. Big company, absolutely. Assume they're spying on you. On a phone, it's a little bit different. If you're using a BlackBerry, I bet they can, because you're going through the BlackBerry server. Yep. My friend who's in the studio, who shall remain nameless and was a BlackBerry engineer, says, yeah, they can spy on the BlackBerry server. That's why China wouldn't trust him, and India wouldn't trust him and demanded the code. Actually, I don't know if it's the other way around, really. China and India were upset because they couldn't spy on BlackBerry, so they wanted a back door. The server was encrypted, right? And it was going through Canada. They didn't like that either. But on an iPhone, I think Apple has very cleverly not provided a tool for companies to eavesdrop on the iPhone remotely. So I think you're all right in the iPhone. Android, that's an interesting question because the Android's so open. It would be my guess that if a company provided you with an Android phone, they could put something on there that keeps an eye on things. It's an interesting question. I just think it's very important, and I like to repeat this frequently, to know that legally a company can spy on you without your knowledge, and that most Fortune 500 companies do. That's, they actually may have an obligation to, in some sense. Here's an example that comes up a lot. You're sitting there in your cubicle surfing porn on the company computer on company time, and a female employee comes into your cubicle and is shocked, horrified to see what's on that screen. It's just appalling, and then files a complaint because she says this is an unsafe workplace. This is not okay. The company is liable for what you've been doing. So they treat that very seriously. They are liable for what you do on that computer, and so they, in most cases, protect themselves against lawsuits by monitoring it. And they have the right to do so. Fred in Ventura, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, I really love your show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, for a couple months now, my restore points in Windows Vista System Restore just disappear, and it really bothers me because I have used that before when I've created a problem for myself or something like that.
Yeah, Restore is great. So you're saying that you're using Windows Vista, and you go and look to see what restore points are there, and there aren't any there?
Right, they're completely gone, and it's happened a dozen times or more.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, I'm trying different things like changing virus protectors, etc., and I can't get anything. And I've looked up
you had the right inclination, which is that sounds like something malware would do, and it's true. Malware does not like you to use System Restore. So malware has, because of course one of the upshots of it could be removing the malware in the first place. So malware has two ways to get around that. One, they install themselves in the System Restore, so that if you do a restore, you're just restoring the malware. That's probably the most common approach. But some malware actually deletes System Restore. Now you say you've got anti-malware. You've been scanning your system, and you have no reports of malware.
Right.
Good. So there are many other reasons this could happen. There are many other reasons. You could be running out of space. There could be something broken in System Restore. The task scheduler could be broken. So let's talk about that when we come back. Leo Laporte, hey tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo.
I'm your undercover lover.
No, I'm not. No. Actually, I take that back. I am absolutely not. We were talking to, oh, he's gone already. Well, I didn't hang up on him, but I guess he got bored. We were talking about why you might lose a system restore point. And there are a number of ways you can lose system restore points. As I mentioned, the first thing I would check is to make sure you have no malware. You know, there's a great quick way to check for malware that anybody with Windows can do. He's using Windows Vista, but it'll work on Windows 7 as well. And it's using a tool that Microsoft puts on your system but doesn't give you a start menu entry for. So you may not know it's there. It's called the malicious software removal tool. And the way to launch it is to get to a command line. So easy way to do it is just click the start button, type click run. You know, you see run ... and then type MRT, one word, hit return. That'll launch it and do a thorough scan. If MRT, the malicious software removal tool, says you're clean, then it's pretty good likelihood that you're clean. This is not an antivirus in the sense that will block viruses or have a wide, huge virus database, but Microsoft puts it out to help people remove malware, and it is pretty effective, at least in saying whether you have something or not. So even if you don't have ESET Not 32 or one of our other good antiviruses, Microsoft Security Essentials is good and it's free. You could do MRT just to see if you've got it. Just to see if you've got it. You can also click Start and just start typing MRT and hit Return. I think that would work. Now, if you've got no malware and you're pretty convinced of that, then the next issue is, well, why are system restore points not working? One is just lack of space to save them. You need at least 300 megabytes free to save those system restore points. So if you're running out of drive space, that could be one. Or that the system restore points are saving to a drive that's almost empty. Task scheduler has to be working. So take a look at your task scheduler and make sure, actually the easiest way to do this is make sure it's the service, the volume shadow service is running. Okay. So you're going to right click on My Computer, select Manage, go to Services, the Services tab in that management console, and make sure that volume shadow services are running. They should be automatic. Task Scheduler. Make sure that Task Scheduler hasn't been disabled, and it has an entry called SR. You know, I should have asked in the first place, and I did not, can you manually set a system restore point? Can you go and say set a point? And if you can, and it's just not happening automatically, that's another matter entirely. Yes, you can. He said he can? Oh. He could do it manually. No, I know he can do it, but I was wondering if he could do it manually. I know one can do it manually. And that's what I'm saying. Try it manually and see if you can. I'll tell you what, I'll put a link. HelpDeskGeek.com has a good step-by-step for a lot of things to try, including some registry hacking, which I always stay away from. You could try to see if there's something that is getting in the way of you making restore points in Windows Vista. Very good, complete article. And I'll post it into our chat room, and I'll have them put it into our show notes at techguylabs.com. You do want System Restore working. That's a very, very handy feature. In theory, anytime you do an install, it should automatically. In fact, you usually will see the installer saying setting system restore point. Certainly all of Microsoft's tools do that. It's a great way to back out of something that didn't go so well. James, Pennsylvania, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. It's great to talk to you. I happened onto your TWiT network about 2 or 3 years ago and have been an avid listener and watcher ever since. So
bless you. Thank you.
It's great to talk to you in person.
TWiT is the podcast network. I should tell people who are saying, what is he saying? Are you insulting Leo? No, I insult myself, I guess.
In fact, you were basically my introduction to podcasting, believe it or not, so I guess I was kind of a latecomer to all of it.
No, don't say that. I'm a podcast pioneer, my friend. I'm one of the first. So, yes. No, I've been doing this since podcasting began.
Well, my question for you is, when I was in college, we used Blackboard to download our courses, and part of that was we could download the discussion forum or discussion board that was online.
Yeah.
Which was very handy. And I was curious if you know of any software or any way to do that for just a regular forum that is online.
Yeah, Blackboard is great software. It's proprietary software a lot of schools use, although it is rapidly being replaced in many schools by open source solutions. But Blackboard's really cool because it allows a teacher to put online a lot of content, including discussion groups and so forth. J.C. Calhoun says Blackboard is not great software. Okay, I'm being generous.
Well, it is, if you're wanting to take the class with you, it's pretty good.
It's great in the sense of what it will do. I think there are better open source solutions out there now. Yeah, but it is absolutely, the idea is fantastic, and it was a revolution in I think in education. So to save the contents of a forum in general, in any forum in general, you have to treat it like a web page, because it is. And use a program that will basically download web pages for offline access. Okay. I call those web suckers or site suckers. In fact, there was a site sucker tool that would do that. There's one called Page Sucker that will do it. In fact, pagesucker.com. And the idea is really very simple. It's just going to follow all the links on a page. Get those pages and save them to the hard drive in a format that your browser can open the local, index file and navigate through the page. Now, of course, updates won't be there. It'll just be you're taking a snapshot, right?
Okay.
So they're not going to be an updated version. I think the best one, the one I recommend, and the chat room is agreeing with me on this, is called HTTrack at httrack.com. It's free, open source. It's what they call a software offline browser. And so what it does is it downloads. Now, be very gentle when you do this, because you are, in effect, going everywhere on the site and downloading every page on the site if you go too deep. So you want to be careful, A, because it can eat up a lot of space on your site, and B, because it can really bring a site to its knees. You're suddenly one user being very active.
Okay.
Some sites might get mad at you and ban you. I mean, you can tell when somebody's using a tool like this.
Okay.
On the other hand, think about what Google does. It's very similar. Google follows all the links, goes page to page, spiders through a site. So it's not invasive and deadly. It's just be judicious in its use. But I would say WinHTTrack or HTTrack.com is probably the one that you want to use. Again, any changes, you're doing a snapshot of that site from the day that you looked at it.
So if I want a current, kind of an up-to-date snapshot, I would have to run that again.
Yes, that's
to
right.
Get the
if you think about it, there's no way to keep it up to date automatically.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate it so much, Leo. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling, James, and thanks for listening to all of our shows. We appreciate it. Moodle is the open source replacement for Blackboard. My high school, the high school that I consult for, that our kids go to, uses it, and it's not perfect, but great. Moodle.org. I don't know about Sakai. Is that similar to Moodle? Moodle is a little ugly. I mean, it needs to be. You need to have this is an unfortunate thing, is our school doesn't really do much to modify it. I'll have to look at Sakai.
Don't ask me, I'll never tell. I look to you as it felt, and now you're in my way. I trade my soul for a wish penny.
You have a DSL Extreme billboard.
And now you're in my way. Your stare was holding grip. Gina's skin was showing. Hot night wind was blowing. Where do you think you're going, baby? Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy.
The tools now we have to edit, I bet there's a video associated with that too. It's just amazing what we can do now with personal computers. Completely wild. And what it shows too is that we should probably all be a little skeptical when we see a picture or an image or a video, because it's just way too easy to fake that stuff. It's we live in interesting times. That's why I do the show, because it's so much fun. I love it. I love following it. We are going to do special coverage on Monday. It won't be on the radio, but you can watch it on our internet broadcast channel, twit.tv, of the Apple announcement, starting at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern Time. Twit.tv if you want to see what Apple's got up its sleeves. Well, they don't invite me in anymore. I used to be able to go to these Apple events. And I think I offended them at some point by not being the perfect Apple sycophant, by not kissing their butts sufficiently. And they stopped inviting me. But, it's fine because in some ways it's better because what happens, Apple does not stream these events. But all these bloggers go, they all get invited, and they sit there and they type practically word for word what's going on. So that's what we do. We sit in our studio. We have all the blogs open at the same time. We have all the pictures and the videos. And then I and my co-hosts comment. We've got Chris Breen of Macworld Magazine, Tom Merritt, who is my news director here at the TWiT Network, Sarah Lane, who does a great show with me called iPad Today. We all sit around and we talk about what they're saying and analyze it and give you the details. So we watch all those blogs so you don't have to. Who needs to go? You don't need to go. That's the beauty of it. Peter, Brooklyn, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Leo. I want to say I'm loving my TWiT T-shirt and my sweatshirt that I just received this week.
That's really great. Lisa will be so happy to hear. We have our new TWiT goodie store that she set up, twit.spreadshirt.com. So you like it, huh?
Yes, very much.
Good.
Leo, I got a question. I have some dead spots in my house. I previously had a Belkin N router, and I heard a couple of weeks ago you reviewed Buffalo AC 1300.
Yeah. So there's a new standard. There's a new cowboy, a new sheriff in town. It started with 802.11b. Remember, that was the first Wi-Fi. It's everywhere, And then they decided to come out with an updated standard. They did A, they did G, and then they did 802.11n, which is the most recent official standard, N. And then, without telling us, they went through O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So they had 802.11z, and then they said, and they went to 802.11aa, AB, and now the latest version is 802.11ac. Just to explain the lettering and numbering. So AC is in draft form, and will be in draft form for about a year. Remember this happened with N? You were able to buy draft N routers for a long time, and then the final standard came out, and if necessary, and in most cases it wasn't, there was a firmware upgrade to the router. So we're in the same boat right now. Both Buffalo and Netgear decided they wanted to be first to the table. So Buffalo makes one, the 1300 AC, and that's the one I've reviewed. And Netgear makes one. I don't know what their model number is. Here's the big deal about AC. Actually, there's several big deals. It's much faster. The nominal speed, that's not the speed you'll reach, that's the kind of the speed they quote, is 1.3 gigabits. Oh, me. I mean, that's faster, much faster than your internet bandwidth. So you certainly don't need that for better internet bandwidth, but you might want it for inter-network transfers. So if you're using Wi-Fi to transfer large files from one computer to the other inside your house, this should make a big difference. It also has some... Well, that's a good question. It is worse, and that's touted as a benefit, because 802.11ac does not use the old 2.4 gigahertz band. It uses the 5 gigahertz band. And the reason that's touted as a benefit is because the 802.11 2.4 gigahertz band is so crowded. It's an unregulated band, and everything's on it, including, in many cases, your cell phone, your cordless phone, your microwave oven, your baby monitor, anything that they can put on there. And so, and of course, if you live in a urban area, as I do, there may be a dozen other 802.11 routers in that space. In fact, there are. When I pull down my Wi-Fi browser, I see a dozen other routers, and that's interference. It makes it harder. So by going to 5 gigahertz, the IETF says, well, yeah, it'll bounce off walls, but at least you'll have less congestion. So if you're trying to get through walls, because it's at a higher frequency, it bounces off walls. So it's not as good for that. They are not going for long distance. It does do some things that will improve it. For instance, it's using really wide bands, 80 megahertz and 160 megahertz bandwidth. That's more than twice 802.11n. That should give you, that's why you get 1.3 gigabits, right? They support up to 8 streams versus 4 in MIMO. They have multi-user MIMO, and then they do something really weird. They aim their signal. So when they see that you are sitting somewhere with a laptop on 802.11ac, the router actually tunes its signal to aim at your laptop, which reduces congestion. It's called beam forming. Beam forming reduces congestion, and it gives you a much better signal. But note, none of this says greater distance. That was one of the features of 802.11n, is it took the 150-foot Wi-Fi distance and doubled it. I don't even see, I'm looking at the spec right now, I don't even see them claiming any distance. So if that's what you're looking for, it ain't it.
Okay.
It may be more reliable. It's certainly faster. In my experience, it was faster, although, again, nothing to gain if all you're doing is internet. It's with 802.11n is probably faster than your internet. But what it's really aimed at, I believe, is fighting channel congestion, which has become a real problem in Wi-Fi. We see it here at my studios. We have so much Wi-Fi going on and so much other radio stuff going on that our standard kind of consumer-grade routers will not work. And in fact, we got some high-end Cisco routers. They wouldn't work. We had to go to even higher-end HP routers because of the congestion. So that's what this is really aimed at, is improving the signal within the coverage area and reducing congestion within the coverage area. I don't even see, I'm looking at this spec here, I don't even see a quoted distance at all. It must be somewhere. The official IEEE 802.11 Working Group Project. It's not the IETF, it's the IEEE that sets this standard. The standard is at least a year off. I am not recommending this router at this point, for several reasons. One, most people don't need that speed. It did certainly help with congestion, but a good quality router will do that too. It's fast, but it's faster than most people's internet, so most people will not benefit, again, unless you're transferring large files internally within your network. And my problem with the Buffalo is it supports an encryption technology called WPS that is highly insecure. It's a bug in it, and the bug means that WPS can allow a bad guy to crack your password, even if it's a strong password, WPA password, in minutes. So for those reasons, and the high price, I'd say wait. This isn't the one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Lower frequency. Thick walls mean lower frequency. The lower the frequency, the better they can go through walls. That's why the 5 gigahertz is
As I walk around
worse than
everywhere,
2.4.
People are always asking me.
Hey, Leo. Leo. Leo's there in a flash.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, hang on. Okay, you've got a Carbonite live rate. I'm turning you on right now.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you got a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you want to know about something new or something old. I'm old. I remember some of the old things, too. Joe in San Diego, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, how you doing, Leo?
I'm great. Thanks for calling.
Great. Hey, I got a real dilemma here with the eBay. I've been using eBay for a number of years, and I buy a lot of car parts from them. And just in the last 3 days, when I try to get onto eBay, I get a eBay page that says, please verify your identity with your charge card numbers, your Social Security numbers, your PIN numbers.
Oh, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
And I can't even get into it at all. I try all different avenues. I tried. I'm using Firefox. I tried.
Wait a minute. You're going to ebay.com.
Yes.
And you're sure it's ebay.com?
Oh yeah.
And it's asking you for all that information.
It is, yeah.
And you look at the browser URL. You look at the top of the browser. You're still in the browser, right?
Correct.
And you look at the top, and it says ebay.com.
Well, it's kind of encrypted in there a little bit.
Yeah, that's something else.
Yeah.
So either it's a couple of things. Something's happened on your system. Somebody's hijacking the browser, and when you go to eBay, it's sending it to another site. That is not eBay, obviously.
Yeah, I thought so.
So one way that malware can do this is by changing something called your hosts file, so that when you look up ebay.com, the first thing that the computer does is check this little file on your system called hosts and says, oh, ebay.com, that's not ebay.com, that's xyz.hacker.ebay.hacker.com. It does something. You might also have DNS changer working on your system, which would then change the lookup results that you get, send you to a phony DNS server. You might have any kind of malware on your system that could do this. There's lots of ways to do this. So I think that there's something wrong with your system. Your system's been hacked, in other words.
As a matter of fact, just within the last day, pardon me, that page went away. Pardon me, that page went away, and now the Firefox puts on there unable to connect.
Yeah.
And verify server. And this is, even to go into just ebay.com, I can't get into it anywhere.
So, absolutely, what happened was something, either hosts file was modified, there's malware running on your system that catches it, or your DNS has been changed so that when you type eBay in your browser, it actually goes to a hacker's site. That hacker's site is now down. They got caught. However, your system still, it doesn't know that, so it's still sending you to that address. That address is down. Of course it's down. It's a bad guy. So either he ran or he got caught. But you're still facing this issue, which is your system has been corrupted. It's hijacked and could be corrupted in other invisible ways that you may not like. See, because this guy's been trying to get your credit card numbers. You were so smart not to do that. Thank you.
Yes.
You didn't fall for that. Nobody will. I mean, that's ridiculous. You know where he went wrong? He was too greedy.
Yeah.
Asking for pins, that was a giveaway, wasn't it? Nobody would need your PIN numbers.
Well, the Social Security number,
yeah.
And then my mother's maiden name was another one.
Yeah. So this guy was too greedy. Had he merely gotten your credit card number, he could have said thank you and gone up and charged a bunch of stuff. But no, he wanted your Social Security and your mother's maiden name. He wanted to steal your identity entirely.
Right. Matter of fact, he even went so far as on my credit cards, he wanted the what's the 3-digit number on the back? He wanted that.
Yeah,
number
sure.
too.
He needs a CSC number. Sure, he needs it all, baby. So you were very smart. Now. I know something's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. I mean, there's a number of ways this could be accomplished. It could be a very easy fix. It could be much more complicated. But I always presume if they got that far, they might have done many other things, right? They might have really messed you up.
Yeah.
So I think if you have a local tame geek, the Geek Squad or somewhere, if you can go to a computer shop, I think you need to bring it in. If you want to do it on your own, a full reinstall of Windows would do it. But I think that, and you should encourage the geek to do that, because sometimes you get these geeks, these cocky geeks. They think they're smarter than the hackers. They go, oh yeah, I could fix that. I could find that infection, and they do their little things. And I've rooted it out. You're 100% pure. But anybody who knows what they're doing knows that is not possible. You cannot assert, once somebody's been hacked, you cannot assert that they are still clean without, formatting and installing from a known good source. So, you could do it yourself. If you've got the system restore disks, the recovery disks that came with your computer, you could do it yourself. Just make sure you back up your data.
Yeah, because if I try to download it into some memory and then try to download it back on, I'm downloading the virus or whatever it is onto it, right?
Depends how clever the virus is. Right? If it's a really clever virus, the truth is, if it's a really clever virus, we're all in trouble. Because, for instance, we know theoretically a virus can store itself in your video card memory and completely survive a reinstall. I shouldn't even bring that up. That's just too terrifying to think about. Nobody's done that yet. Just get the recovery disks, restore your system, not the system restore points, the physical disks, and restore your system. You can back up your data. Your data is fine. Don't back up any programs. Don't back up any executables. Just doc files. But I'm glad Boy, Joe, I am so glad you saw that, and that was a red alert. A red flag went up, and you said, nah, it's not right. Somebody got in your system somehow. That's what they try to do. It's exactly what they try to do. And it's fairly clever. You need to reformat, reinstall, start from scratch. Let's see. Marco's next in Los Angeles. You're next, Marco. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, good morning, Leo.
Hey.
My friend.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I have a question. I have two cell phones, smartphones, a Palm Pre and an HTC. I'd like to see if I can use those smartphones to set up a baby monitor.
What a good idea. Why waste them, right? I presume they're deactivated, so you'd be using Wi-Fi.
One is deactivated. The HTC I'm currently using. And, yes, I have Wi-Fi.
So you want to put the Palm Pre hanging above the baby, use the camera on the Palm Pre, and somehow magically get that to your HTC.
Is it possible?
Well, it's an interesting project. So let's see. Okay, the Pre is no longer on the phone networks, I presume. You'd have to use Wi-Fi. You'd have to turn your Pre. Yes, it is possible. So here's how you do it. You put Skype on your Palm Pre. I don't remember if they had Skype, but Skype or something similar. Tango would work. You need a video calling program that works with Wi-Fi. Most of them did. Skype, if Skype's available for the Pre, that would be great. Then make a Skype call to your HTC and just hang it over the baby. And the baby, you're watching the baby, you're listening to the baby, you're talking to the baby. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Or buy a $20 baby monitor. But I admire his... Yeah, you have it on audio answer. The question is if there was a WebOS version of Skype. Professional software support guy or gal. Set it to auto answer, so then you just call it. WebOS Skype. You also probably know and maybe even use. Right. Yeah, you want to silence yourself. Yeah, Skype for WebOS. So there is a Skype for WebOS. So that's a great solution. Have you tried this? Oh, yeah, Pre-3. You have to have a Pre-3. It may not work on all versions of the Pre. Isn't that funny? On your client networks and lets you know when something is about to go wrong before it goes wrong, so you can swoop in and be a support hero. Powerful tools, one easy platform from Citrix. You just have to see, and if it's not Skype, there are other companies that make video calling software. Tango is really popular. There's a ton of them, actually. So you just have to see, and almost any platform is going to have one of them. There's an app on the Play Store called Baby Monitor. That's for Android. Oh, most of them are really insecure. You can peep in on the wireless baby monitor. So this would actually be better. Yeah, this would be safer. There you go. Turn the Pre into an Android phone. I would say WebOS is officially dead since Google's hired the entire WebOS team. Yeah, it's long gone. Yeah. Thanks, HP. Thanks. I know, I should have said, there's this thing called Gazelle. Did they not take the Pre's? They've changed. If you go to Gazelle.com, they've kind of simplified the interface by limiting the number of things. No, it's more than iOS. They have let's see. So there's a lot of iOS. iPhone, iPad, iPod, Apple TV, laptops, Apple desktops, Apple Display, BlackBerry, HTC, Motorola, Samsung, or LG Android phones, or Nokia. No, they don't take WebOS. But if you've got one of these devices, let's say you have an iPad that you want to get rid of the old iPad 2, okay? And what is it? 32 gig Wi-Fi. That's probably the most common. $290. Now here's the deal. After you do this, and you say whether it's even if it's broken, they'll give you $100. I have one, actually. There you go, $100. Good condition, flawless condition. Now you can get a check. You can get PayPal. But the best thing is the Amazon gift card because they'll bump it an extra 5%. Now that's not a lot for $290. What is that, $18 or something? But it is. Here's the deal, $15. But here's the deal. That's just the first thing. You got a bunch of stuff lying around, don't you? Just get rid of it all. You got any old iPods? Get rid of it all. And put it in the box. They pay the shipping, and then you get a check or you get the Amazon gift card, which is, again, what I'd recommend. Really, really easy, simple way to pay it forward, Keep those gadgets moving. It's the best. Who was it? We were doing a show. Somebody said, this is really the best way to recycle. This stuff still has some value in it. Don't throw it in the landfill. Sell it to somebody who wants it. They even buy broken iPhones, even if it's smashed up. So here's the deal. Go to Gazelle, GAZELLE.com. Sell your stuff. Do it now because you get a 30-day quote, and I guarantee you after the Apple event, everything's going to be worth less. Well, it's always worth less day by day, right? This stuff is not appreciating. So get the quote now, and it's good for 30 days at Gazelle.com. No risk. They even pay the shipping. And they're really nice people. They delete the data for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Gazelle.com. Keep it moving with Gazelle. And thank you, Gazelle, for making the Tech Guy podcast possible. Possible podcast. We should mention that we are going to change the encoding one of our video encoding formats. We were using a format that MediaFly had specified, but it's not the best H.264 format. So we are actually going to, starting, I think, next week, change the encoding for those of you watching on video. So this is part of our upgrade to our encoding process and our upgrade to HD video, which we'll start offering. As a part of this, if you are subscribed to the large video feed and you have an old device, this is what made me think of it, like a second-generation iPod Touch, you may not be able to play the updated format. And worse, iTunes won't let you know. iTunes just won't sync it. iTunes says, "Oh, I don't get that format," so it just doesn't show up on your device. So do me a favor. If you go online to, I have an address. twit.tv/watchus, all one word. twit.tv/watchus. All the information's on there about what formats. They even have some samples, so you can see if you're going to have an issue with your older device. And we are going to keep absolutely. No, it's not there, is it? Oh well, we'll get that site up. We are going to have. We'll always make sure that the lower mobile version, the lower size mobile version, works with all older devices. It's just the larger, high quality version.
Four.
Why, it's just like watching a golf game. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hey. We're talking computers. We're talking the internet. We're talking WYSIWYG and what's it for? 8888 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. That's my phone number. Our website is techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. And yes, we're taking calls. 8888 Ask Leo. Wayne in California, you're next. Hey, Wayne, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking the call.
My pleasure.
Leo, I have a iMac, and
I'm not afraid to use it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I saved a lot of movies over the years, and I now have run out of memory space on and so I've have an external drive that I want to move them to.
Good.
Going through all of my various files, I see a whole bunch of extensions: AVI, MPG, MOV, WFV, M4V is the most reliable one.
Yep, those are all legitimate video extensions.
Should I? But I don't need duplicate copies. When I first started, I saved all three kinds.
Ah, so you're saying which of the three should I save?
Yeah, which one should I move over to the hard drive?
There's, it's not that one is better than the other. It really is how you did it. So it's possible, for instance, to encode, you're right, what you said was the most reliable M4V, which is H.264, in a low quality and have it be worse than a high quality AVI. So it really depends on what you did when you encoded them. But if you encoded them all at the same bit rate, et cetera, my choice is always for video H.264. That is a great standard. And on a Mac, Apple uses that M4V format. That's really an iTunes format. It's QuickTime Video, H.264.
Okay, and they do stream well into the TV as well as onto DVDs, and and so they start right up, and it's great.
Yeah, that's the one I would keep, and you can delete the AVI and the other form, MP4 and the other ones. Yeah.
Now a number of them are saved as just cache.mov, and I have over 2,700 items on my all movie list.
Oh dear.
I got a job.
Yeah,
and I don't want to
think
lose.
if there's a fast way to. I would if Are they cache.m4v as well?
No.
No. Well, good. You can get rid of the MOVs.
Okay.
Now, I'm just going to say this, and just for completeness, I think the answer is just keep the M4Vs. But AVI and MOV really aren't an encoding format. Those are wrapper formats. And so you can, within MOV, have it be stored as H.264 or Cinepack or, there's lots of different formats. Similarly, with AVI, it could be a lot of different formats. That's just a wrapper. But I would, in general, QuickTime movie formats are, there are more bad ones than there are good ones. So I would, especially anything named cache.mov, you don't want to go through that and rename those. Just delete those.
Okay. And many of these clips have not been made into a movie yet. They've just been downloaded from the camera.
Ah.
So
that's why they don't have names on them. I get it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So those I might look at and see if they're part of a movie that I want to keep.
Yeah. If you never converted those, .mov is a common camera format, as is .avi. And so if you've never looked at them or converted them, in general, it's best to keep it in whatever format it was recorded in, because any transcoding, this is an example of, remember I said there's no right answer to this because it depends on how it was done. If it was recorded in your camera as a .avi, leave it, because any transcoding to another format is going to degrade it. Even if it's a better format, it's going to degrade it.
Okay, well, most of them are .mov. They're clips and cache.
Yeah, so that's probably how your camera records it.
I see.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with that, because you could take it and make it a better, put it in a better format, but it's not going to look better, because in order to transfer it to that format, you had to re-encode it, and that always degrades it a little bit. It's decompressing it and recompressing it. That's always going to make it worse.
Okay, well, this is great help.
Oh, my pleasure.
You have a great show, Leo, and we're all grateful for you.
Oh, bless you, Wayne. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Very kind words. It's nice. It makes me feel good. It is not in vain. Joanne, Ventura, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. I have to echo what Wayne said, that you're a real godsend for us people with our computers and stuff.
Thank you. Well, it's only because the computer industry, the technology industry in general, has done such a terrible job of explaining how to use this stuff. Why do we have 18 different file formats for video? I mean, that's nuts. But it's just the way it is.
I feel for Wayne who just called, because someday I might be in that same, predicament. I'm sitting here going, gosh, AVI from Brazil, .mov, what to throw out, what to keep,
Yeah, the only reason I can answer any of these questions is because I've been there, done that.
God bless you. See, my problem today is, because of also the expensive fixing technology, and I have a small grassroots foundation. I'm going to have to play IT guy with my Mac. It's a 2006 Mac book. And I found out recently that the hard drive bit the dust. So the people at the Apple store said, well, since, it's a 2006, it now comes under vintage, so we can't help you.
It's too dang old.
Yeah, vintage. I'm like, boy, you should see how old I am. But
hey, just remember, in computer years, dog years, there's like 7 years to every human year, or it's vice versa, 1 year to every 7 human years, or I can't remember. But in computers, it's more like 100. We'll make it 10 or 20. So a 6-year-old computer is like 60 years old. It's pretty old.
Yeah, it's like saying it's 60 years old. Yeah, it's a 10-to-1 ratio. I just bought it brand new out of the box when they came out in 2006. And he's like, vintage. I'm looking at this going, my gosh.
Well, partly that's also because Apple's made some big changes since then in what it's doing. Now, here's some good news. You said it's a foundation, so there may not be a lot of money in here, but Apple is about to announce new laptops on Monday.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I can't really go there to buy something new, so I found a couple of places where I could buy the hard drive at not such a bad price, like $60 or so.
Oh yeah, it shouldn't be expensive because it's not. One of the advantages of vintage is it will be cheaper. Here's where I would you probably can do this yourself if you're fairly handy, but there'll also be places that will do this for you in your area. But for buying online, here's what I recommend: MacSales.com. It's called Otherworld Computing. And these guys have been selling Mac products for ages. They know, and they do exactly this: hard drive upgrades and so forth. And they'll tell you what kind of hard, because you got to make sure you get the right kind. And they even have videos on here for how to put it in and stuff like that.
Okay, because it looked fairly simple in that after I pulled out the white, the
battery
thing on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled out the battery, then I found this white slip of almost like a label paper, and then I pulled that out, and voila, there it was. And then I said, well, I guess I just buy another one.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, because now not all MacBooks were like that, but that particular one, it's nice that they both the RAM and the hard drive are easily modified. Some MacBooks you can't even get into anymore. The newer ones you can't even get into.
Pros,
yeah. So what's the model? What's the model number?
This is the 2006
MacBook. All right. Yeah, I would go to MacSales.com and get the hard drive they recommend for that model. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 2 gigahertz, 1.83 gigahertz. Yeah, you know what? This is, she's not got enough memory in here. The hard drive is 60 gigs, 80 gigs, or 120 gigs. It's not. It's at least an Intel, right? So it's not so bad. If this is the one she has, it's not so bad.
So we talked all night about the rest of our lives, where we're gonna be when we turn 25. I keep thinking times will never change. Keep on thinking things will always be the same. When we leave this year, we won't be coming back. No more hanging out 'cause we're on a different track. And if you got some,
I can't even remember being that age. I know I must have been, but I have no memory of it at all. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our musical director, Kyle Benham, spinning the discs. I remember those. Spinning the discs. And if you want the playlist, he does this thing called Spotify. All the kids are doing it. You can get his Spotify playlist at Kyle Benham on Google+, Kyle space Benham, and we'll put it on the show notes, techguylabs.com after the show. I was at a high school graduation. It was a great speech given at the high school graduation yesterday. My kids go to a school called Sonoma Academy in Santa Rosa, and their college counselor, David Rion, gave the speech. It was a great speech. And he made the seniors stand up and face each other and had them take a pledge that they would stay in touch. Were you there, Eli? Did you go to graduation yesterday? Huh? You filmed it? Oh, yeah, because they streamed it, didn't they? They're very techie. He said he had the seniors stand up and say, "We will stay in touch, not by Facebook or status updates or Twitter status updates, but not by text, but by calling, not by email, but in person." I loved it. We will stay. He said, find your best friend in the class, look him in the eye, and say, "We will stay in touch." And then he said at the end, what did he say? #SA graduation. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. Such a what a great speech. Is that, Eli? Is that online somewhere? It's on Ustream. All right, I'm gonna put a link in the show notes because people, you got to see this speech. It was very funny, very inspiring. Teared up several times. A lot of times we talk about the college graduation speeches these big names give, but I think all over the country there are great speeches being given. Because it's so inspiring when you're talking to kids who are graduating from high school and entering life. Just it's an exciting time. I like to go to those graduations. Judith in California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Judith.
Taking my call. You
My
have
pleasure.
a great show.
Thank you.
We have some problems with our DSL and telephone.
Okay.
We have DSL and telephone sharing an AT&T phone line.
Yep.
And the DSL works perfectly when the phone is disconnected, but it drops off when the phone's plugged in. And we tried connecting DSL and the phone directly to the AT&T line that's outside, the box that's outside, to see if the in-house wiring was at fault, but we got the same result out there.
Oh, that's good to know. So that's nice. You can call the phone company and say it's not our fault. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and they may or may not help. You do put the filters that they gave you on the phone lines, not on the DSL line, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, because if you put the filter on the DSL line, the DSL won't work. So here's how DSL is kind of weird. So you have an audio phone line. And the way DSL works, it uses the same exact audio phone line, but it just puts the DSL data signal is a higher pitched tone basically on that phone line. The filters filter it out so you don't hear it on your phone calls. That's why you want the filter on the phone line. But of course, if you put the filter on the DSL line, it would filter out the DSL and the modem wouldn't work.
Right.
But you don't have that problem. You have the opposite problem. If a phone's on there, it's clobbering the DSL.
That's right.
I've had that happen to myself as well. In fact, we had a burglar system put in that used the phone line, to call the alarm company, and it killed our DSL every time. It drove me crazy. And I don't, to be honest, the fix is we got a separate line. I don't know how you fix that.
Okay, well, we were hoping you'd have a solution other than
I don't know how you fix. Let me ask the chat room because there's smarty pants.
Okay, now is there an amplifier that could boost the DSL signal?
No, it's not that.
Okay.
It's not that. It's it sounds to me the filter is this. Still want to blame this filter, even though it's for the opposite situation where these little filters they gave you, they plug into the phone jack and then you plug the phone line into it, right?
Right.
So you have those.
Yes, we do.
And they were provided by the phone company.
No, the filters came from DSL. They sent us a new modem box, thinking that maybe that would help. And in the box, they sent us some filters to use, so we're using there.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
The Citizen X and others in our chat room have said that filters can go bad, but these were brand new filters. They came from the DSL provider. You say, are your DSL provider DSL Extreme?
It's DSL Extreme.
And your phone company's AT&T.
That's right.
Yeah. See, here's the problem. Unfortunately, AT&T doesn't like DSL Extreme. They don't like anybody but themselves to provide your internet access.
Right. Okay.
So they're not too incented to help you fix this. They don't. If you had AT&T internet access, they'd be more interested in fixing it. But they don't want you to fix it.
Right. Now
they don't want DSL Extreme to work.
Right. The DSL level 2 techs were really nice. They pinged us, to make sure that the signal was coming here, and then they also they told me that they contacted AT&T and had AT&T look at the line.
And what did the DSL Extreme tech say?
I don't think they had an answer for us. They thought possibly that we're using a router. We use the Apple router.
That's not it. It's interesting because they did the right thing, which is to say, well, maybe it's the in-house wiring, because if it's crossed, of course, that could happen. So they went outside the house, and the same thing happened.
Right.
That's why I tend to think it's an AT&T problem, not, it's not your house.
Okay.
Right? And it's not even your filters, because when you go to the outside of the house, you're basically connecting directly to the line coming off the telephone pole.
That's exactly right. Right.
So it ain't the filters at this point. It's before the filters.
Mm-hmm. We even took the filters out there with us.
Yeah, I am almost certain that it's an AT&T problem, because that's the only people it could be. And unfortunately, AT&T is just not incented to fix it.
Okay. So you think we have to get a second phone line?
Well, that would be one solution. I hate to do that.
Right.
I hate to do that. I would try AT&T. They have an obligation to give you a working system. And make sure you tell AT&T this is outside the house. This doesn't work.
Okay.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, you're outside the house, and you're saying you pick up a line inside the house?
I don't understand.
If you're outside the house and you plug in a phone inside the house, it stops working?
No, we plug in the phone outside as well.
Where do you plug it in?
We have a splitter.
I get it. So you've got the DSL filter as a splitter with one end going to the DSL modem, one end going to a phone. You've got the system there. You plug in a phone and...
Right,
Let me keep listening. I'm going to put you on hold, and maybe the chat room can help me with this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's back to the D-Slam? AT&T is the only people who can help you at this point. And they're totally unincented to do this. Yeah, that's what I think. It's AT&T's local loop. Yeah, no, well, that's what I said, too. As soon as you get outside the house, if the same thing is happening on the line from the pole... Oh, yeah, you can, because what happens is you have your switcher, right? At least on my box. There's a jack. That's the line comes, there's a jack, and then there's the jack, you loop that to the phone connection, right? Yeah, look at it. You can unplug it, and now if you plug into that jack, you're plugging into the phone, the line. It's their local loop. It is not in any way anything she or DSL Extreme can fix. There is not a short in the house, Mr. O'Hero, because it's bypassing the house. Well, like if the phone could be bad, but you understand, if everybody, that she's basically disconnected the house by doing that. The house is not on the circuit.
Everyone else in the room can see it. Everyone else but you. Baby, you light up my world like nobody else. The way that you flip your hair gets me overwhelmed. But when you smile at me,
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So we've had a great conversation in the chat room about our last caller and her DSL problems, and we are all in agreement, or most of us are in agreement, that because Judith's going outside the house, plugging in the DSL modem into the line from the telephone pole, using that splitter, and then it works just fine, and then she plugs the phone into the splitter, and it just goes south. Now, Judith, you should make sure, try different phones, and maybe that phone has some sort of short in it. That's causing a problem. So, I mean, it seems unlikely, but maybe that's part of it. So try a different phone. Now, here's the difficulty. By doing so, and I'm sure DSL Extreme told you this, you have now pinpointed the problem. It's AT&T. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. Because it's not the house. You've taken the house offline. It's there. It's something. Now, is it possible that AT&T could do something wrong that could cause this? Yes. There's all sorts of things they could do. It could be the local loop. It could be back at the D-Slam. It could be all over the place. Now, it would be nice to get DSL Extreme to help you, but the problem is apparently they have said, no, we can't. We don't know what's wrong. You got AT&T has to fix this. Frazier, who's sitting across from me, he's visiting today, says, just lie to him. Tell AT&T, something's wrong with my phone. Something's wrong with my phone. I don't know what's wrong, but please fix it. Make them fix it, because really, it's their problem. Something really wrong. It could be, though, and it's possible that there is something wrong at the D-Slam, that's the DSL Extreme router in the AT&T Network Operations Center, because they have a box in there that's what your internet's coming from, and it could be something's wrong there. So I would press DSL Extreme, but that was a really good idea to go outside and test it. Second line would fix it. I hate to make you do that, though. That's crazy. That's crazy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. The Gizwiz is coming up. Dick Bartolo. He always cheers me up. He's Mad Magazine's maddest writer for 4 decades and our gadget guru. He'll join us in about 15 minutes. 47 minutes after the hour. So, Judith, that's the best I can do for you. I'm sorry. I mean, I think if you still have problems, send me an email, leo@techguylabs.com, and I'll get you to the big guy at DSL Extreme. He's a friend because they're a sponsor. Theo in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. I love that place. Hey, Theo, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How are you?
Good, thanks.
What can I do for you today?
I'm having problems. I got Windows Home Server 2011, and I'm trying to install that on my current computer, which is running Vista 32-bit, but it is a 64-bit processor, so I'm wondering... that
doesn't make any difference. You can use 32-bit operating systems and software on a 64-bit processor. All processors are 64-bit now. That doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, this one's a bit old. But anyway, when I click Setup, it says the version of this file is not compatible with the version of Windows you're running. Check your computer systems information to see whether you need a times 86 or times 64.
Well, can you get a... I don't know. You're using Vista and Windows Home Server... And the Windows Home Server won't install on Vista because it says it's the wrong version. So get the right version. Do you have is it 32-bit Vista and 64-bit Windows Home Server?
I thought I could only find a 64-bit home server.
Well, you need to get a 64-bit Vista then.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so install 64-bit Vista and then install the home server.
Right. Right.
Okay, thank you, Leo.
Sure, anytime. I think if he'd thought about that one, he could have answered that in his head. Hey, by the way, Frazier tells me that for our caller who had a really old Mac, because it was from, 6 years ago, that there's a company in Pasadena nearby. She was in Ventura called Dino Computers. Dino because they're dinosaurs, and they are an official Apple reseller and fixer, and they could put the new hard drive in too if you didn't feel like doing it. Stephen in South Africa calling via Skype. Hi, Stephen. Welcome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you doing?
I am well. It's so nice to hear from you.
Yeah, good, man. Enjoy your show. I started watching about a month ago, and I'm loving it. As a tech guy, I love it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Leo, the problem I have is I'm a web designer, and I often have people that are somewhat technologically challenged telling me that they are having a hard time sending me their graphs that need to go on the website, and wanted to know if it's possible to give them an easy solution for that, where they don't have to
this happened when Microsoft changed Outlook so that it could not attach files. Remember, this is an issue of security. You can, if you wanted to, you could walk them through the process of making Outlook do that. It's just in the security settings of Outlook. Otherwise, what I generally recommend, I don't like attachments because it is potentially a problem. It also, if these are large files, they could be issues as well. You don't want people sending 10 megabit or bigger files through the email system anyway. So what I would do is find a place that you could store those files, and they could send you a link. If I think might be not a bad idea to set up your clients with Dropbox, because it's 2 gigabytes free, or SkyDrive if they're Windows users. That's even bigger. That's 25 gigabytes free. And then they just put them on the Dropbox. If you have a Dropbox account, you can send them a link. They could just upload, say, hey, here's the folder, upload to that. Google Drive is another one that's free and 5 gigs free. So Google Drive is a good choice. There are a lot of these free storage solutions. And I have to say, and I should qualify it that these guys are a sponsor, but ShareFile is another way that works pretty well. But ShareFile is not free. So I would start with the free solutions, because you don't want, if you have a lot of clients, you don't want to have to pay for them.
We do have a Google Drive. We've bought some extra storage. We've got 100 gig at the moment.
Perfect.
Is there any way of without the client having to register for Google Drive themselves, getting me to send me the...
Right. They have to have a Google account to do that.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
And with the other solutions like Dropbox or ShareFile?
That's a good question. I think you have to have a Dropbox account to have a, with Dropbox you get a public folder that you can give people the address to and they can share to it, but I think they have to have an account. Am I wrong? Is there a way to share files where you don't have to make their clients sign up for an account? Chat room. That's what we're looking for. Okay, they're saying Dropbox does not require you to have an account.
If you tell them, if you tell these guys create an account, they think they're going to buy something.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah. So the Dropbox public folder apparently, I don't know how that would work. So you send them a link to the Dropbox public folder, and then it just becomes and then they can put files in that public folder. You can share files with anyone, even non-Dropbox users, by creating links to the files from your public folder. But that's sharing one way. I don't know how you would get your clients to share back to you. Let's look into that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So that's one way. So they can add to it. So the issue, understand, if you're in the professional support business, is that he wants his clients to send him files. So he wants to have a Dropbox account, but doesn't want to have them make one. So if he sends them a link to his public folder, they don't have to have a Dropbox account to use it. He might have to pay for that. They need to have Dropbox installed in their system, says Midnight Decker, but they don't need an account. See, that's not going to work either.
They've added monitoring. It's always more fun to share with everyone.
Sharing files, so much fun. Doing it securely, another problem entirely. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm pretty sure ShareFile will solve this, could do this. There's a company called Keep and Share, online sharing made easy and secure. The issue is security, really. I mean, and I'm sure that our caller knew that, because he's a web designer, that it would be easy enough to set up Stephen from South Africa, it'd be easy enough to set up a open folder on a website that people could drag files to, but there's a security issue. Those files would be visible to other people. And if somebody dragged, say, a PHP file there, they could execute it unless you were careful to make sure that that folder wasn't executable. It needs to be writable but not executable. But I think simple enough to do that. If you have a WordPress installation, there's an easy file share plugin that basically is an interface to FTP, File Transfer Protocol. There are ways to do this. I think the ideal would be you just set up an open directory on a server, and you just send them a web link, and you say, well, you go to, sharewithus.ourcompany.com, and drag the files to that web page, and it would upload them. The issue is security, of course. It's an interesting challenge. It's such an easy thing to do, doesn't it? Sound like, but yet. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dropbox apparently has a way to do something like this via JotForm. Go to JotForm, JotForm.com/Dropbox. Thanks, Web 3266. Looks like you can create a Jotbox form that allows your clients to drag files to it. That's what you want. And this would add some security. You could even have a Facebook page people could drag files to, it looks like. That'd be cool. Using a Jot form. I like it. Dick DeBartolo is here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and we call him the Giz Wiz because he's a wizard of gizmos and gadgets. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
Mighty fine.
Good.
Mighty fine. How's the weather in New York City?
Right here, it's okay. It was kind of cloudy and stuff, but hopefully it'll clear up later on, so I might be able to get a little boat ride in.
Oh, he's a boater.
I'm a boater.
He's also a gadget hound. If you go to gizwiz.biz, that's his website, you can see all these cool gadgets he talks about all the time. You got one for us today?
I do. Well, now that I've gone another week, Leo, without any magnets falling off my magic mesh screen door.
I thought that was pretty cool. That's a really interesting idea.
I actually do like this thing. Because we had such a warm, wet spring, there are bugs aplenty in New York City. And I have a dog, Dennis has a dog, and they love running in and out of the backyard, but someone has to get up and open and close the screen door every time. So with Magic Mesh, basically Magic Mesh is 2 panels, 18 magnets, 9 magnets down each side. You hang it up, and the magnets keep it closed. A dog can run through it, and the magnets just part, and as soon as the dog is through, the magnets close again. And the neat thing is, all you hear is the sound click, 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 click of the magnets closing, which I happen to like.
Yeah, I like that sound.
Yeah, as opposed to a screen door slamming.
This would be good for restaurants, anywhere where you had to have a door that people could go into and out of without actually, opening it.
Exactly.
You just pass through it. It's magic.
You can walk in and out carrying a tray when we had a barbecue out there in the backyard. And it's really reasonable. Online.
I've seen this on TV, right?
Yes, I was going to say yes. But the thing is, it's so interesting. I saw an article that as shown on TV articles now are bigger in stores than they are online. And that's why, like, Staples now has a monster as seen on TV. I got mine at Kmart. And Kmart has a big, as seen on TV. It's called the Magic Mesh Screen Door. And at Kmart, I paid $18 for it. And it's basically the same as the infomercial. It's $20 in the infomercial. Get one, buy one, get one free. You have to pay $8 shipping on each unit. Comes to $36, so it's $18 each. So it's exactly the same as buying it in the store. And one quick thing, if you do buy it, the panels look like they're the same. One of them has like a 3-inch hem at the top, and the other has a 2-inch hem. The 2-inch hem is the bottom. You can actually hang one panel upside down, which many people complained about online and say, the magnets don't match up. It's because one panel is upside down.
So Metro the dog got his at Walgreens. Vic G says that they're at the end of the aisle in Rite Aid. So I guess every Target has a bunch of them, as you said. Okay. So they're all over the place. Easy to find.
Oh, wow. Amazon Prime $13.50.
Whoa. With overnight shipping. Thank you, B2. So we got a link. It's just search for Magic Mesh, hands-free, screen door, $13.50. And if you have Amazon Prime, shipping is free. Yeah. And you'll have it day after tomorrow.
Why didn't I see that?
Wow, Dick, usually you spend a lot of my money, but this is going to be easy. This one's easy. But Dick also has a video on YouTube if you want to see this thing in action. If you go to youtube.com/madmaddest.
Yes, I've even made it easier. Not ready for YouTubevideo.com. It goes to my channel.
Ironically, a YouTube video channel. Not ready for YouTubevideo.com.
Right.
Dick's other site is gizwiz.biz. That's where you can play the What the Heck Is It game, a chance to see a close-up of a gadget, identify it correctly, and you could win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. But you're more likely to win if you get identified incorrectly and you just do it in a clever way, because there's more Mad Magazines to be won that way. Gizwiz.biz. Dickie D, thank you. Stick around. We're going to do the weekly daily Gizwiz in a moment.
Sounds like a plan. I'll be here.
Shortly after the radio show concludes, we get back to work almost immediately. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'll talk to Chuck in North Carolina, who is looking for a wireless webcam he can access from his iPhone. Kyle, musical director Kyle Benham.
Not 32.
Should I do a not 32 ad here? Yes. All right. I shall. Ooh, look. min.us min.us. Upload and share your files instantly. Drag files here to upload, up to 1 gigabyte each, and boom. Now it looks like they still have to kind of sign up. We were trying to avoid signups for Stephen's clients, but there's another one. There used to be a great one called drop.io, and unfortunately Facebook bought them and killed the business. But that would have worked too. That was a great little service. Chuck in North Carolina. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Chuck.
Hey there. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm looking for a wireless webcam that I can access from my iPhone. I kind of want to keep an eye on my cats, and I want to be able to see what they're doing.
Now, I have two different products depending on... Oh, I'm running out of time. Dropcam. I'll just say the one. Dropcam.com. Really great solution. We use it, in fact. Dropcam.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Out of time. I was going to recommend the View Zone for wireless, but there you go. Hey, no echo the whole freaking show.
That's awesome.
They fixed it.
Crashes,
so it's
viruses,
kind of annoying that it was that simple.
Yeah, but it wasn't our fault, Leo. It wasn't on our end.
You've got to back up. What do you mean?
Files.
I'm just being sarcastic.
So for the people who are interested at home, who are saying, why? What happened? So I guess it's one of the hosts that uses this studio during the weekdays. So, we use this box to talk to people on the phone. It's called a hybrid, digital hybrid. And the reason you need a box is because, believe it or not, phone conversations are not duplex. Only one half can talk at a time. And so in order to have a conversation on the radio, these hybrid boxes, they do this quick switching so that it sounds like we're talking with each other. But you can set these hybrid boxes to gate out the caller. In fact, a lot of talk show hosts prefer that because if they don't like what the caller's saying, they just talk louder and the caller goes away. I could put people on hold, so I don't really need that. Apparently, there's a show host who uses this studio weekdays who doesn't like that the caller goes away when he's talking. He wants to have that back and forth. He wants to yell at the caller or whatever. They want to be talking at each other at the same time. And so he turned the duplex way down. In other words, turned the hybrids fast switching up so that they could hear each other. The problem is that on an ISDN line, which we're on because of the very small but perceptible ISDN delay, it confuses the hybrid. And so the hybrid kind of pumps me up. So all we did was we turned the duplex back down to a normal level so that when I talk, it gates out the caller. And that's actually how it's supposed to be set. That's how it's made to be set. And so I guess if the guy during the weekdays complains, he can have a setting for himself. His engineer can turn it down. But do you know where that switch is now, Kyle, so that you can fix it?
No clue. Sorry.
It's funny because this has been going on for 3 years, and it was just, oh, yeah, well, we have the duplex way down, turned way up. I'm glad I complained. We have an entry on our wiki about it. Don't complain about the echo. It gets Leo upset. He knows there's an echo. He's trying to block it out.
It's official when it's on Wiki.
That is so funny.
All right, Leo, I'll talk with you tomorrow.
All right,
I'll
thanks,
figure
Kyle.
out where that is if we ever have.
Well, it'd be a good thing for you to know.
Yeah, I need to know.
Yeah, so that if it comes back, we'll know that they turn it up on the weekdays.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm glad it's fixed. Sorry it took that long.
Okay.
All right, talk to you tomorrow.
Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah, it's on the wiki. Here, wait a minute. Issues. Caller audio for the tech guy. A frequent comment about caller audio is the caller echo. It is not echo from the caller's radio, but an artifact of inappropriate gain increase introduced by equipment that receives a stream down in Southern California. Leo has complained about it for years, has had to answer chat comments about it for years, and there's nothing anyone can do about it at our end. Well, they fixed it. Freaking drives me crazy. Actually, unfortunately, the podcast did actually have it, and that was why it was really getting to me. Is there was nothing we could do about it because now that we so for a while, as a result of this, believe it or not, we would have Luis record the audio at their end where there's no echo and send it to us. And then we'd make the podcast. But at some point, we just got tired of doing that. And so we just recorded here because we wanted video. That's why. So we recorded here, and it had the echo in it. For 3 years.
They just fixed it this week.
They fixed it this week. Now, the funny thing is I had complained about it years ago, and they said there's nothing we can do about it, and they blamed us. And then I said, no, it's not us. And then they said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And so they never fixed it. They did a bunch of trials, and they never fixed it. And that was years ago.
As a consumer, I had it on the Big Apple TV.
And you'd hear the echo. It would drive you crazy. And I just tune it out because I am used to it.
I've heard it.
There was none at all today. They fixed it. And by the way, I didn't sound like I was talking over the callers or anything. I did it a couple of times just to see what would happen. It does, it brings them down. Thank you, Kyle. You are the man. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the TWiT Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.